Arsenal have been defeated for the first time in the league this season. With Mikel Arteta left fuming, this game was controversial. So from a VAR exclusive to the reason behind Arsenal's attacking problem and Mikel Arteta's potential solution, as per, let's break it all down and discuss the 5 things we learned from Newcastle 1, Arsenal 0. Yo, what is going on guys? My name is Bats14, welcome back to your boys channel. I hope you guys are doing sensational regardless of the results, but boy do we have things to break down today. So as per, smash a like on the video if you enjoy, subscribe to the channel if you are new. But starting off with the refereeing robbery. It's a real shame that we have to start off with the referees, but let's just say the Arsenal vs Newcastle rivalry has been brewing. Go all the way back to the game last season at the Emirates Stadium, a 0-0 draw. Mikel Arteta vs Eddie Howe right towards the end of the game, as Arsenal complained for a handball. Since then there has been an ignition. Every time Arsenal have played Newcastle, think about to yourselves how physical it's been, the amount of brawling and fighting. This game had a very similar story, starting off with Kai Havertz's challenge, dangerous and reckless. It was definitely naive, but at the same time focused on the Newcastle reaction. A certain Bruno Guimaraes lost his head. Minutes later doing this to Jorginho, for many a very clear red card. VAR reviewed it and here's what they had to say. He's not used his arm as a weapon. It's not nice, but it's no more than a yellow card. Here's where I've got another problem. Even if VAR saw this as yellow card, why are they not allowed to give the referee that information? As Gary Neville said in commentary, Guimaraes could have had 5 yellow cards in this match. Bruno Guimaraes should not have stayed on the pitch. From a clear push on Jorginho to causing numerous fights on the pitch. The real controversy was yet to come. Newcastle scoring the opening goal via Anthony Gordon. 3 separate times VAR checked the goal. The first being the ball out of play. From this angle here, it looks clear and obvious, but we have to understand perspective is important. According to VAR, they said, the ball looks out, but we can't possibly give it from that angle. Here's where you have to question consistency. Earlier this year, there was a similar scenario. Man United versus Brighton. Look at both of these images. Apparently the Rashford one is out of play, and the Joe Willock one is in play. The controversy only continued. VAR then checked a possible foul. Joelinton's clearly got 2 arms on Gabriel and pushes him to the ground. Then VAR checked the offside, with the rule stating if there is one defender behind the goalkeeper, if the ball is in front of Gordon, he is offside. Here's what VAR had to say. On the Gabriel thing, they said there's 2 hands on Gabriel's back, but we can't be sure it's a push. On the offside, there's no conclusive evidence whether Gordon was behind the ball. Stick with the on-field decision. There's also been another emergence. As pointed out on BN Sports, Andy Gray and Richard Keys are convinced there was also a clear handball with Joelinton. Mikel Arteta after the game was left absolutely fuming. As he says, if there's a team that was looking to win today, it was Arsenal. Embarrassing what happened. How does this goal stand? In the Premier League, the league that we say is the best in the world. I've been here 20 years in this country and now I feel ashamed. It's a disgrace, there's so much at stake here. We are trying to do incredible things and be at the highest level every week. When we are not good enough, I hold my hands up and take responsibility. The outcome is nowhere near the level this league needs to have. And the way this league is competed in, it is not good enough. I feel embarrassed to be a part of this. We have never seen Mikel Arteta like this and there's a reason behind that. This has been built up for a long time. Think about the amount of apologies that we've received from PJ Mel over the past year. The Gabriel Martinelli goal last year at Old Trafford. Ivan Toney's goal against Arsenal for Brentford. Here you've got Richard Keys of BN Sports, one of Arsenal's biggest critics. Even he says Arteta is spot on, allowing that goal was embarrassing. Okay, the ball might have not been out, but it's a clear push on Gabriel and Joelinton handles the ball before you can even argue whether Gordon is offside. So 2 nailed on reasons to disallow it. As fans we feel helpless. The amount of mistakes that we keep on seeing week in week out. How many more times are we going to get apologies before we actually see change? To go to Newcastle and defend superbly, limit Newcastle to 0 shots in the opening 60 minutes at home. Arsenal were not amazing, but we did not deserve to lose this game. The fair result would have been a draw. Arteta will definitely receive a heavy fine, maybe even a touchline ban. Think about how crazy that is. Managers can't even speak the truth now, without these referees trying to hide their mistakes. Moving on to the second thing, the U-shape of doom. Let's focus on things that Arsenal can actually change. This game was definitely a close encounter. In terms of the XG, Newcastle came out on top. 1.23 in total to Arsenal 0.62. The important thing there though is the Newcastle goal, accounting for over half of Newcastle's XG. Without their XG is actually below Arsenal, and that shows a real positive. The Arsenal defence was on point, limiting Newcastle to very few clear-cut chances. Let's focus on the performance of Declan Rice, playing as a left-sided number 8 with a 7.5 rating. 73 touches in total, 51 accurate passes, 1 key pass, 4 successful long balls, 2 out of 2 dribbles and 3 out of 4 ground balls. In many ways this was the perfect game for Declan Rice. It was all about power and precision. Look at these numbers here. In terms of ball progression for your passing and carrying, look at where Declan Rice is. clear and above the rest of the players. His passing numbers are so encouraging. A 0.23 expected threats, the amount of times this guy can stop a counter-attack. This game was a prime example of why Rice is a physical freak. A main reason why Arsenal have become so good outside of the boxes. There was also another top defensive performance. William Saliba with a 6.5 rating, 2 clearances, 1 interception, 1 tackle, and 90% passing accuracy and 2 accurate long balls. The Arsenal defense has definitely evolved. Look at the XG numbers. In terms of the fewest XG conceded this season, Arsenal are the second best, only marginally behind Man City. With the power of Saliba and Rice, Arsenal have a backboard. The attention then turns to the attack. Here's where the overall stats are very important. Arsenal with a total of 60% possession, 422 passes completed, 71 final third entries, a whopping 69% to the field tilt. What this shows is a very clear theme. To get the ball into the final third 71 times, yet not create a single massive opportunity. What we are seeing is overcomplication. The amount of times that Arsenal enter the final third and slow things down, trying as hard as they can not to give the ball away. That's where we've become predictable. The reason behind this falls to Mikel Arteta. In trying to give Arsenal as much control as possible, the attackers have lost their instincts. It's time for Arteta to find a balance. With a great defense, Arsenal won't lose many games, but in order to win games and win a title, it's time to make Arsenal unpredictable again. Moving on to the third thing, box difference. Let's focus on the performance of Eddie Nketiah. A 6.7 overall rating, a 0.15 XG, only 1 shot off target all game, 0 successful dribbles, 14 accurate passes and 1 key pass. Eddie has now gone 18 away games in a row without scoring for Arsenal. His overall record is even more concerning. 5 Premier League goals in 52 away appearances. The perspective here is very important. Eddie Nketiah is a hard worker, but as fans we've known for a very long time, he is not an elite striker. Arsenal have reached that stage of the project where they need a difference maker inside the box, someone that is made for these tough games. Where Arsenal have done their work outside the box, we need that game-winning striker, the Erling Haaland type. With Gabriel Jesus out injured, do Arsenal turn to a certain Ivan Toney, who according to reports in the UK, has informed Brentford that he wants to leave in January. Arsenal and Chelsea remain firmly in the race for Toney, and the player himself has boosted their chances of luring him away from Brentford this winter. But we have to ask a very important question. Do we believe Ivan Toney is the Erling Haaland, the player to take Arsenal to a next level? There was also another very interesting performance. We are talking about Kai Havertz with a 7.0 rating. 48 touches, 23 accurate passes, 4 out of 8 ground balls and 4 out of 8 in the air, making 3 tackles in total. What we saw was a Kai Havertz response. With the amount of fans asking for more, Havertz was definitely fighting, trying to win duels. When Arsenal actually signed Havertz, the questions were all about defensively. But in terms of tackles per 90, Havertz is averaged higher than Granit Xhaka last season. But that's not where fans are going to judge him. Arsenal have not signed Havertz to play like a Declan Rice. The idea behind him is for him to score goals. But look at him on the pitch today. Animating, showing character, shushing the Newcastle backroom staff. Moving on to the fourth thing, Starboy problem. We need to have a conversation about Bukayo Saka. With a 7.2 rating, 59 touches, 33 accurate passes, 1 key pass, 3 accurate crosses, 6 ground balls, 1. The eye test told us a different story. Saka was clearly struggling and there's a reason behind that. Newcastle were doubling and tripling up on his side. Bukayo Saka is clearly out of form. It's time to offer him support. The reason why teams are able to overload the side is because Arsenal aren't offering any other threats. It's all about creating a balance. Because look at the overall numbers. Arsenal have the highest team in the league in terms of attacks on the right hand side. It's time to add some variation. Not be scared to use the left hand side and sometimes the middle. Where was a certain Martin Odegaard? Before the game, Arsenal announced that Odegaard was not fit for today's squad. That's where we learned something very important. How important the Odegaard profile is to offer Arsenal composure in the final third. Having scored the winner at Newcastle last season, recently I've seen way too much disrespect. When Odegaard returns, I do wonder, will Arteta try him out on the left hand side? Having seen that goal against West Ham midweek, he may be the key to help free up a certain Gabriel Martinelli. Let's talk about a very important cameo. Leandro Trossard off the bench, a 6.5 rating. 2 shots blocked, 12 touches and 3 out of 3 accurate passes. The key thing here is actually positioning. Trossard coming on as a centre forward. That's where I believe is his future in his Arsenal team. This could be the key to unlocking the Arsenal attack. Go back to last year and especially that game against Fulham. Trossard gives Arsenal fluidity. We may not have the elite goal scorer. It might be time to turn to an elite facilitator. A Bobby Firmino type of profile. To help get the best out of Saka and Martinelli instead. But what about the performance of a certain David Raya? With a 6.4 overall rating, the lowest out of any Arsenal player. A minus 0.06 goals prevented, with 1 punch in total, 18 accurate passes and 7 accurate long balls. We have to focus on a very specific detail. Look at Raya's positioning from the Newcastle goal. Very aggressive off his line. The ball ends up going over his head. which allows the chaos to happen. Forget about the refereeing and focus on Raya. That is poor from David Raya. Now Mikel Arteta wants his goalkeeper to be aggressive. The problem here isn't Raya trying, it's his overall execution. Is David Raya as good a goalkeeper to be Arsenal's version of Ederson and Alisson? Moving on to the fifth thing, time to regroup. The title race is getting interesting. With Man City winning 6-1 against Bournemouth, Arsenal dropped to 3rd place in the table, 3 points behind City in 1st, with Liverpool and Villa able to go above Arsenal if they were to win their games. Arsenal fans are allowed to be concerned, but it's very important to remember, we've only just entered November. This was our first league defeat of the season. With no Odegaard, no Jesus, Partey or Timber. We've only seen that Rise Partey Odegaard midfield for 20 minutes this season, and in those 20 minutes we were able to beat Man City. As fans, we have a very important responsibility. Instead of creating narratives and agendas, focus on what's actually going wrong. As shown, Arsenal have elite defensive numbers. The likes of Rice have given Arsenal midfield assurance. Our problem is clearly in the attack. Arteta will know this more than anyone. The reason why I'm not too concerned is because of our quality. With the likes of Saka, Martinelli and Trossard, Jesus and Odegaard to return, Arsenal have way too much quality not to eventually get it right. The next 6 games are going to be fascinating. Sevilla at home in the Champions League and then Burnley at home. An international break followed by Brentford away, Lens at home, Wolves at home and Luton away. The Arsenal attack is being questioned. I trust Arteta to find those answers. But that is the video there and there, so hopefully you guys have enjoyed. If you have, don't forget to smash a like and also subscribe to the channel if you are new. If you want to follow your boy on all of his social medias, then the links are down below in the description. But that was the 5 things we learned from Newcastle 1, Arsenal 0. A breakdown of a defeat, which hopefully if you guys enjoy, there will be more of the future. Until then, I'll see you next time. Take care and in a bit.